I'll finish.
Buzz will fit in anyway, so I just wanted to welcome you. I'm filling in for my wife, Anne-Marie, and you can learn about her life and artistic career from the video, hopefully. And then the booklets that we produced in the meanwhile, there are some of the display, and if you check on the website, they're also for sale there. So let me start by recognizing the two members. One of them is here, the other one is not here, our team. Alina just gave birth to our grandson, Dominic Daniel, this morning at 6:58. And the second is Wilson, who's here in the flesh. I'm so glad you're here and help me with the accounting. He's our Chief Information Officer, Chief Financial Officer, Communication Officer. Thank you, Wilson. I also wanted to thank all the volunteers who came out. I don't want to name names because you guys know yourself. Thank you. Give yourself a hand, okay? Because it's for so much. Thank you. Also thank Pastor Dave and the entire staff here at Riverbend. Come on in. Because this is quite an honor to be able to exhibit. As you probably know, this will be on for 2 more months. And when we had the first meeting with Pastor Haney, we were a little bit apprehensive about doing this show, but it was so hands-off and so kind and so wonderful. Chris is here, so let's give her a hand. Raise your hand. Thank you. Let me just start talking about his comments. I paraphrase what he said. I was concerned about the potentially diminishing inventory of an artist who passed away, but now I realize that Anne-Marie's work will not be only diminishing, but actually will enrich and grow in the lives of those who enjoy her art. So that's what I want to encourage you, that even though you just enjoy it now, it's already a gain for us, and if you get a word out that this show will be open for the next 2 months, that would be very good. So let me also explain some other things about when my wife passed away unexpectedly, almost just exactly a year ago. She was in the middle of a renewal in her career. We actually lived here in Austin part-time. She had the Fiber Art Guild show participation at Dougherty Center in August in 2011, and the Texas Fiber Show Congress Avenue in October 2011. In other words, this exhibit is a continuation of the effort already underway, and I was even planning to move to phased retirement to be able to support her more after all these 41 years that we were married. This exhibit, therefore, is not a show of regrets, and I really believe that, or a guilt trip from a surviving family, but an ongoing campaign to share Anne-Marie's talent with the world, and also to enrich the artistic life of Austin and other cities. So please remember that this is the beginning. This is the first show. As I said, I participated in 35 other openings with her. Although I did not have to speak, she was in the center of attention. So this is very difficult for me, but it's still, I believe that it is worthwhile because the work is beautiful. And even if you don't buy anything, you just enjoy it, that's already something that she would have liked. So therefore, I also cannot avoid speaking of our faith that we share. Now that we are in the church, it's even more appropriate. That we believe that Anne-Marie is alive and is with God through the saving grace of Jesus Christ's sacrifice. As Apostle Paul said in 1 Thessalonians 4:13-14. Brothers and sisters, we do not want you to be uninformed of those who sleep in death, so that you do not grieve like the rest of mankind who have no hope. For we believe that Jesus died and rose again, so we believe that God will bring with Jesus those who have fallen asleep in him. So therefore, this exhibit is a manifestation of that spirit brief. And I really didn't want to call it any promemoria or retrospective in the memory of, but it's a living and meaningful exhibit of paintings that is aiming to inspire and give you hope in the New Jerusalem, as the video challenges you to do. I also want to point out, I know it's boring, but you might not believe that actually these things were set up with notes left behind by Anne-Marie. What happened when I saw the space in May, first time, 2011, I made a plan for, done this before, about 15 paintings, and I thought that I knew what I was doing, but obviously I wasn't, because I found some of her notes about the Jerusalem show, and I added all the paintings that she pointed out by themes, by color. It's exactly how she wanted them. And therefore I increased the number to 27, and guess what? 25 actually fit the space. If I were to bring 15 of my original idea, it would have been my show, it would have been a screw-up. Therefore it's not. This is her show. So I'm very happy to say, I know it sounds a little spooky, but actually she left very, very detailed notes behind, because she was very organized. So I also wanted to point out also this whole issue of biblical Jerusalem, because she was fascinated by this. The city of peace, as you probably know, Ir Shalom means the city of peace, is mentioned 801 times in the Bible, but not always in peaceful terms. In fact, 634 times in the Old Testament, God expresses his anger regarding Jerusalem through the prophets Jeremiah, Isaiah, Micah. But he also promises full restoration then in glory in Malachi 3:4. And in the end, the New Jerusalem in Revelation 21:10, Apostle John tells us, quote, "And he carried me away in the Spirit to a mountain great and high, and showed me the holy city, Jerusalem, coming down out of heaven from God." So it has a special meaning, but then you might wonder, what do we do with all the proceeds? So we need to continue to run the business, because otherwise we won't be able to invest in new publications and new shows, so please understand that. But we also found the scholarship fund actually here at UT in Austin. After I checked with 15 different universities, I was very happy to find that we can start a scholarship for $25,000 named after her. They will give us the ability to recognize a female artist who also wasn't born in the United States, because Anne Marie, as you know, was facing difficulties like every female artist in this difficult line of work dominated mostly by males. So we think that this will be very, very meaningful, so please think about that. And also remember that art was a way of life for her and not just a hobby or therapy. And her favorite sentence is used to describe her modus vivendi, or way of life, but she's simply using her nickname. Ani, that's how you pronounce it. Ani draws, Ani paints, Ani weaves, because she weaved a lot. So she left behind thousands of creations. So finally I want to tell you a story about her desire to bring joy to people through art. In the early 1990s, while her exhibit was displayed at the Jewish Center in Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania, she received a call from a potential buyer to set up an appointment with her. When we arrived at the center, we found there a mid-aged Russian woman fixated in front of paintings with Greek Orthodox inspirations with a classical Byzantine composition. She looked at us, she wept, pointed to Anne Marie work and said, "Everything I love and still long for my mother Russia is concentrated in this painting, as it speaks to me in different ways every time I look at it. I really want to buy it." And as business manager, I wanted to fill out the receipt for $5,000. Anne Marie told me to wait, talk to the lady, talk to her, comforted her, asked more questions about her life, and then she took out the painting from the wall and gave it to her. Needless to say, the Russian lady was overwhelmed, did not want to accept, blah, blah, blah. But at the end, she understood that she really wanted to make that happen. That's what she was. But I cannot promise a similar outburst of but we are also inclined to emulate her spirit in giving in discounted prices, and I hope that our business manager can tell you what you can do, payment options, and also encourage people to buy. We accept credit cards. So he's a wizard.
And the show's up for 2 months.
Yeah, right. So that's finally, I still have some artsy words here, just in case you missed artsy words here. I will not try to answer any questions you might answer about aesthetics and other things, but I'm just an engineer, what do I know? She would say exactly Aristotle. The question is, do you like it, rather than what ought you like? There's a Daniel Seidel blogger who wrote in Art and Explanation, "In the hands of interpretation, art becomes at best merely the visual illustration of an idea best expressed through other means." And another quote from a famous Lutheran theologian, Oswald Bayer. He's very smart. I never read anything, but I think he's very smart. Art helps us live in the moment without having to explain it or necessarily find meaning in it, but to find how God is at work in my life, explain purposes. So the responsibility of the Christian critics and viewer is just to preserve the distinctive space that art can create, the space that allows us to feel His grace, which only comes to us in the present moment that needs no interpretation, explanation, or justification. Amen. Enjoy the show.
Amen.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you for having wonderful music provided. Stephen Bright, and we don't want to overwhelm him with our attention, but I really, really love his music and very much enjoy having him. Thank you.